Do you get frustrated with porn filters that block too much or too little? Let me introduce you to Plucky, a new filter that you customize. Here's how it works. You set your own boundaries, deciding which websites are and aren't safe for you. If you're thinking, I'm not sure I can trust myself all the time, Plucky is made for you. It enforces the boundaries that you set, and it enforces them with steel, so you can't self-sabotage when tempted. Plucky puts your best self in control. People in over 100 countries use Plucky. Pricing is on a sliding scale, so it's affordable for everyone. For a free 30-day trial with no sign-up required, go to pluckyfilter.com. Take courage, take control, get Plucky.
I have been there. I know the pain, I know the isolation, I know the secrecy, I know the struggle, I know the emotional trauma. I understand that you feel enslaved to it, but this is what we know is that there is hope in Jesus, there is hope in fellowship. And this is what I've learned, that the solution towards addiction is connection.
Good day, friends. I'm Jonathan Daugherty, the founder of Be Broken Ministries, and today's episode is a powerful testimony of God's work throughout the world in drawing all people out of the dark and into His marvelous light, and helping others to break free too. In this episode, I sit down with Emmanuel and Samridh, two amazing ministry leaders from India, to talk about their personal journeys of overcoming pornography addiction and how they now help pastors and young church leaders find freedom. We discuss the unique cultural challenges of shame and secrecy around sexuality in India, and how their Celebrate Freedom seminar, which is based on our Gateway to Freedom Intensive for Men, is breaking new ground by creating safe, supportive spaces for honest conversation and healing. Emmanuel and Samridh share practical insights, stories of hope, and invite anyone struggling to reach out for support and community. To connect with Emmanuel and Samridh, visit their YouTube channel at unaddressed.podcast. For additional resources, visit bebroken.org or check out the links that we're going to put in today's show notes. And please rate and review the podcast after listening to help others find it. Now let's dive into today's inspiring and hopeful conversation with Emmanuel and Samridh. Well, all right, friends, I have some special guests with us today. I have Emmanuel and Samridh, so welcome, guys.
Hi. So good to be with you, Jonathan. We were waiting for this day for a long time, and so good to see you.
Yeah, thank you, Jonathan, for having us. We are so excited to share our experience and talk more over all of the topics that we have for recovery and the things that we're doing right now.
Yeah, so I want to start first with just your stories. I mean, we live in very different places. I'm in San Antonio, Texas. You guys are halfway around the world, and so I would love for our listeners just to kind of get to know you guys a little bit more. So, if you guys could each briefly share a little bit of your story, and then kind of how you got into the work that you're doing now with pastors. So, Samridh, can we start with you, and then Emmanuel?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for asking. My name is Samridh, and I'm working as a publication expert in one of the organization in India, which is basically into training leaders and pastors in the remote places, because they don't get the privilege of studying in seminary organizations, because sometimes it is out of their reach. And I've been working with Emmanuel for last more than 5 years now, and our stories have been quite entangled with each other. Like the fellowship that we share has deep roots, even in the struggle that we were sharing. So my story starts from the time when I was in school. My friends actually were the one who introduced me to pornography, and I remember that was a time when my friends like they had access to internet, and it is like 20 years from now, ago, when we didn't had a lot of media to consume, or like players or things like that. So that was a time when they would just introduce in their small mobile phones, and they used to have compact disc CDs, and the boys would gather together and watch together, because I was from a boys' school, and I remember like that's how it went for the downward spiral, and I was stuck into that like for more than 15 years. I was also a musician, a worship leader, so I always had this struggle within, that there is kind of a dual life that I'm living, and it was always a tension between both the worlds, until unless there was few friends who introduced us to Celebrate Recovery, a model from the Saddleback Church, and we. Emmanuel and I, we actually were learning that as a test model, if we could apply that in our curriculum where we could teach the pastors. But it happened to be so that it started helping us personally more than that, like our emotional struggles and stuff like that. We were quite open about our struggle with pornography, but somewhere down the line, I feel like it didn't directly target it or hit or facilitate the solutions to us, and that's where our friend, like who was in Celebrate Recovery, introduced us to John Ford from Be Broken, and from the last 3 and more years, we have been into a kind of a recovery process where we have directly happened to find solutions in fellowship, and in the way we meet, in the way we have the small group along with Emmanuel. And yeah, that's how my story can be summarized in a short way.
That's great. Yeah. It's wild to me how we made the connection, because I mean, we have. I will just speak for myself, but I mean, I think I can also speak for John. We have loved having you guys be connected to our ministry, because we have learned a lot from you about what we just didn't know, because there's just cultural differences. And so we have grown a lot in terms of how we understand how to address this topic through more than just like a narrow lens that says, let's just, try to reach Americans. It's like, no, there's a world out there that's broken, and pornography and other kinds of sexual sin has influence in all cultures. And so I love that. So, Emmanuel, what about your story and kind of how you came to where you're at now?
Yeah, so hi, I am Emmanuel, and I am from the northeastern part of the country. If you know the river Ganges, not very far from there. And I'm a father, I'm a husband, and my mom. We all live together here in southern part of the country, where we are working in a Christian organization that trains pastors throughout the country. We have pastors from across the country, from different states. Uh, in some of the states, we have more people who are working with us, but we pretty much work with the pastors around the country. So yeah, for me, long back when I started my biblical studies in 2008. The second year is that's when I was introduced to porn by one of my seniors, and yeah, it's a bit of a strange story for me to be introduced to pornography, but we used to have one day in a month where we used to go out for marketing and to do our shoppings and other things. So that's the day many of the boys they used to go out also to internet cafes, and I was there with one of my senior, and that's where he first like literally taught me this is how these are the words you type and this is how you access the kind of websites, and um, this is this is how you can access and this is how you can watch. It's very sad that I wasn't very good at in English at the time, and he also happened to be my friend who really helped me learn English language. And since then, I was addicted to it, and then it continued through the rest of my biblical studies in seminary, and then I completed my studies there and came back to my hometown and started working with my church. And immediately we started a youth ministry for young people that we had, and we had a very good start, and we had a very successful youth ministry that quickly. got a lot of people, got a lot of young people involved in, and it was growing, and we were having very good success, and I was leading the team, and um, the lives were changing and we were really seeing the blessing, but at the same time I was also into pornography. I was watching it, and I remember we used to have the weekly meetings on Saturday, and we would have a great service, and then I would come back and I would be very sad and cry because I would see the lives changing and people repenting and coming to know Jesus. And at the same time, I was secretly living in this sin myself. So that's where I was stuck. And then uh, after I think 1 or 2 years, I started working with this organization where Samridh and I we work together. And pretty much for a long time, almost I can say about 10 to 12 year, I was into pornography, and at the same time I was also in the ministry, and I was in youth. I was ministering young people, and then I was also initially helping in the training process, but then I also started training the pastors, but I would mentor them and guide them and teach them. But at the same time, I was also living this life of shame and secrecy. And then, uh, then I think Samvid and I we met our friends from Celebrate Recovery, and then from there, pretty much our stories same, and that's how we also met John. And 3+ years we've been meeting regularly, and um, it's been really helpful from place of shame and secrecy. Now we have come out, and we are in a situation where we are not only living in freedom, living pursuing freedom, but we are also able to provide hope to other young people. So that's what my story is like.
Yeah, that's so good. And that's one of the reasons why in our ministry, one of our deep values is story. Like when
Mhm.
you tell your story, it just breaks that shame, it breaks that silence, and it really communicates to other people who have a similar struggle like, "Oh, is there a possibility that I too could maybe not carry the secret anymore, that maybe I don't have to stay silent anymore?" I
Yeah.
want to talk about, obviously you guys have a personal story of coming from this place of having this secret struggle with pornography and then coming into the light, finding freedom, and then God really stirring your hearts to help others. But you're also in unique positions because sometimes what that happens in like maybe a recovery environment is that might look like, hey, you just start helping other people to get help. But you guys have unique connections to pastors. I mean, both of you are in ministry, like you're doing ministry. So can you talk about a little bit of the dynamic difference between maybe just trying to quote unquote help anybody that's struggling, but really more trying to equip and help pastors, and maybe what kind of responses you've gotten from those who are in church leadership when it comes to, hey, let's talk about pornography and let's make this something that we are going to regularly talk about. What does that look like for you guys, and what have been some of the challenges to that? So, Samreed, maybe we can start with you on that question.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking this question because this is a very deep question to understand that everybody is a human being, and like there is a lack of acceptance. There is a lack of people admitting that they are struggling with sin, and that involves the leaders as well. And with our experience that we have talked with so many pastors over time, um, you know this is also a culture that Emmanuel and I, we have learned that we should start with our own stories, and that made them really comfortable to open up their own stories, even though if they're not struggling right now, but what was their struggle like maybe like 10 years down the line or 20 years down the line, because the people that we are ministering and serving are also significantly elder to us. So it's a very different scenario, like when they we have this mutual respect for one another, but at the same point of time, we are also talking about what are the real issues that we are struggling right now. Somewhere it also has affected their personal married life. There were a few pastors who were not that open in the beginning, but we got to know their stories that they are struggling with something. There has been internal issues with the spouses, and how they want to get out of it, but they have never learned or never found a safe space where they can talk it through and discuss through, or like if there's somebody who is taking us into account, that to ask some hard questions and try to figure out. Even the concept of counseling is really hard for people to digest over here in India. So as far as my experience, I would say that the pastors do have that need where they would like to talk about it, or maybe like to discuss about it, or maybe even want to have the space, safe space, to open up whatever they're really struggling, whatever the distress is. But since they are in that position, there is kind of a pride, I would say, which is like an inferior pride, which doesn't just come in front, where they tend to behave that we cannot be a person who can show ourselves as a weak vessel.
Mm,
We cannot
yeah.
show ourselves that we are vulnerable. We need to be strong before our congregation, our believers, a person who never sins, a person who never falls, a person who is always there for people, which is a good motivation, but it's not entirely true. So yeah, they have been now opening about this area, and the aspect of having a safe space where they can discuss more about what's been going on in their life.
That's good. Emmanuel, what's kind of been your experience in that, and kind of dealing with pastors, maybe especially around that idea of overcoming what Samrid is talking about, where there's this sense of like, I have to be like the perfect leader. I can't have any flaws I can't admit. What's that experience been like for you as you train pastors?
Yeah, so maybe even on this point, I would share my initial efforts towards coming out of this bondage, coming out of this addiction. So, like I shared, I was leading the youth ministry, and I knew that it is wrong and this is not right, and I'm living a hidden life. So, I was already first of all, it's very difficult to talk about it because, like the part of the world where we are in, the shame and honor culture is very prevalent and very strong. So it's very shameful to be talking about issues like sexuality and pornography. So, with a lot of difficulty and courage, I reached out to some of the leaders that I knew, that I felt I could share my difficulty with, and it was really sad that I didn't find much help. Like the suggestions that I would get is that you need to pray more, or that you need to read more Bibles, spend time in prayer, and even fasting. And uh, I was already doing all of those things, and I did more when I was told, but it was not enough, not sufficient. And what I felt is that there is a lack of commitment. Like people were ready to give suggestions, but they were not ready to give time. And they were expecting if I only did certain spiritual activities, I would just, magically come out of it. And nobody would share that they also are going through this difficulty, or how to actually practically come out of that. And even that's why, so that's my story. And when as I've been training pastors for a long time, I have been very open to them, since I discovered that this is something that we need to talk about. And I have been openly sharing with them how I started my journey of freedom, and that it's not that I had completely come out at the time, but I told them that we need to be talking about it, and that the young people in their church, they are going through it, and they should not assume that just because no one is caught or no one has come up to them with question, everything is all right. So that's why when we offered a program that could help the young people learn more about it, help them come front and talk about it, they were like all excited. So the situation is like uh, I mean, the pastor, they themselves are not equipped. And one of the difficulty is that there is I should say, program driven, how should I say, um, deliverance for these kind of issues. Like if you have this kind of difficulty, you go for a special meeting for 3 days, or you have 7 day fasting prayer, things like that, and then you just go through that, and then you are out of it and you're free. uh, and so I would say that the pastors are mostly under equipped. They don't know how to handle, they don't know how to counsel. And even if we talk about counseling, a lot of emphasis is more on the side of theory, and uh, like nobody shares their story. So, like
Mm,
Samrit was
yeah.
saying, they want to keep this picture up that no, I can help, I can offer help, but I have never been through this situation. I have never been into watching pornography. So that's a huge lacking part that is there in India, I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like, and we have similar kind of struggles even here in the United States, where there's this sense of let's get some very sort of quick fix solutions. Let's get you to just like modify your behavior,
Yeah,
even through spiritual practices, like you said, pray more, fast more, all of
yeah,
that, as if you just create a formula and then it'll spit out this, man of sexual integrity. You
yeah.
mentioned one thing, Emmanuel, that I'd love for both of you maybe to share a little bit more on, because we have a lot of our listeners are in the Western world, and you mentioned about shame honor culture. Can you maybe explain that a little bit more so that we can have a better understanding of what that means for where you live, and also some of the specific challenge you mentioned a few, but some of the specific challenges that creates when you're trying to be super open about something that may not be an open topic in your culture.
Um, yeah. So maybe I'll let Sabir go on first. Yeah.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I'll add to your points here.
Okay, yeah. So, first of all, shame and when I say shame and honor, I mean a lot of topics are taboo to be talking about, especially anything to do with sex and sexuality. It is not openly talked, and uh, they're like, young people just don't know about it because nobody talks about it, and they are ashamed. Like parents are ashamed. Like parents would never discuss any of the anything to their kids that would uh, that has anything to do with sexuality. And many of the time, yeah, like most of the time, young people just grow up in the house, and the first time they are hearing about sex or anything to do with sex or pornography is from their friend in their college or in their high schools. So why it's not happening? Because of, like in the house, in the family, you don't talk about this. These are not the right thing to be talking about. And uh, when I say honor, um, uh, like what would happen is that I know many young people who are just stuck into following the instructions that their leaders or their pastors have given them, like the options that I was giving, pray more and read more Bible, fast more. So just because they have a huge respect for their leaders, they have heard it from them. They, even though they are not succeeding in this and it's not helping them, still they are continuing it, and uh, they're not looking for a new and better ways, and that's where they're all stuck. That's what I remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, I completely agree with whatever Emmanuel is saying, and I would like to add that the over here it's not just the shame, it's also to do with fear and also do with guilt. Like people are never taught. If like there is room to make mistakes, whenever a person commit any kind of mistake they are scolded, and then there is this level of fear that comes within them, and they are not confident to speak it out to anyone else. and there's always the guilt and shame attached to it. And as I was talking before, like about the safe environment, this is never being practiced even inside a culture of how they are brought up inside a family setting. As Emmanuel was mentioning, that there is no healthy sex education ever being given to the children, that they would really know what is happening within them, like especially when they are growing up, like if there is some kind of hormonal changes, or like something biological happening to them. And the church is very traditional, or I would say they're very legalistic in terms of how they respond to someone having sin. um, Sorry to say that sometimes it is really like Pharisees pointing out at and like shaming that person that they are caught in something, and there is nobody responding like Jesus, saying that if you have not sinned, you can throw the stones like that. And that's pretty much what we feel the culture over here is trying to really pull people down and never be really who they are, and they never get up into the journey of becoming the person that God has created them to be. And that involves a lot of things in their life, and this is one of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you guys are saying that, I just keep thinking um, two things. One is you guys have both displayed a lot of courage then in your culture to say you're willing to take whatever label or whatever pushback that you might get in your culture by saying I'm going to be open. The other thing that I'm thinking is you guys are pioneers in the church, because you're willing to step into a place that you say not many are willing to step into. So, in that vein, I want to talk about something that you guys have developed in conjunction with some of what we have done here at Be Broken. In June of this year, you guys did your first Celebrate Freedom seminar, which was sort of loosely based off of what we do in our Gateway to Freedom intensive workshop. And you worked with Dan and with John to kind of develop and reconstruct that material so that it fits your context and your culture better. Can you talk about that, and then also talk about what happened at that seminar and how did God move in that?
Yeah.
So Samrid, let's start with you, and then we'll go to Emmanuel.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, this program was really exciting because John and I and Emmanuel, like we were trying to have this event for more than a year now, and there were honestly there were a lot of struggles in between, a lot of hindrances that we couldn't do it like early, but in God's time it was beautiful. It was. Definitely both out of what you're saying from the Gateway of Freedom program, but it was more contextualized to our audience. We had the stories, like our own personal stories as well, and also stories according to the Indian context and culture and family, how they respond to like making mistakes, just as I said. And we went through something called The Inner Child by Eddie Caparucci,
Yeah.
and that was great. Like Emmanuel is one of the greatest translators that I have worked with, so it helped me to like get that translation and design it in a way that we can present it to people. We had our hard copy manuals, the booklet that we were going through, and there were a lot of surveys in between as well, like talking about is sex good or bad. And you won't believe, like almost all the people considered sex to be a necessary evil, and we have to define them, that there is a difference between sex that is designed by God and pornography, that is a distorted version of sex that is trying to stimulate us beyond what is actually healthy. And it was even funny in the beginning, because a lot of them didn't even know what we were going to have. It was just another seminar, it was just another youth event, they were told, because I'm not sure why the pastors were not direct, and that talks a lot more about our culture, that they were not
Sure.
so open about what is this event going to be. But what we came to know is that almost all have different level of experience with sexual issues. There are few who have overcome pornography, but they are really struggling in their thoughtfulness. And there were few who are still, like, a few of them were pastors, few of them were leaders currently, and young pastors and leaders who said that we really struggle with this issue. And It was a refreshing time for us to connect to them better, be more organic the way we were talking right now. It wasn't a preaching, it was a lot of discussion, and ultimately, we were able to build bonds, like trustworthy bonds, and a lot of confidentiality that we could share as brothers, so that we can reach out uh, even after this program is over, which was a success because we were able to follow up with them like every 2 weeks from now. And we are structuring it more to make it a small group, so that we'll have like a long journey where we can, flush out all the struggles, and it can be a spiritual open heart surgery so that they are really cured out of things right now. Yeah.
That's great. Manuel, what would you add?
Yeah, yeah, this program was a big success. Especially I was very scared because I was doing quite a lot of reaching out to the pastors. If this is a requirement, if this is a need, like talking to them. And honestly, even like a week before till the program, till the seminar, we were not sure how many people would really show up, and we were scared. And but as the day arrived, we, slowly people started coming up, and we were very happy to see how much people are hungry for something like this program, like Celebrate Freedom, that we had organized. And I think now there are in India, I think there are more leaders, young leaders, who are sharing their, like, I would say they are more openly talking about pornography and how to come out of it, and uh, what is it, and helping people understand. But I think I would say, in terms of sharing our personal story, not just from a point of that I know that this is wrong and I'll help you understand, but this is this is my story. We have gone through it, we have struggled, and we know what it is. That is an area where I would say that we have not yet come across any other Christian leader who were open and share. And I would say, again, that comes back to shame and secrecy. A lot of leaders are afraid that they cannot, share their struggles, and not only the ongoing struggle, but even if they have been successfully, if they have come out, they don't have the freedom to share that they it's been their past as well, it's been their journey as well. And like Samrit said, we were able to uh, do the program where we told them in the beginning that don't think that just because you are attending this 2-day program you will come out of it. It's an ongoing program, it's an ongoing process, it's a journey where we will, together deal with the issue, we'll share the burden, and we'll be honestly talking with each other without any pretense, how our week went by, if there was a time of struggle, if we slipped, or if we were helped by other people, reaching out to each other whenever we are tempted. So this was a completely new thing that we were able to present, which we learned from P. Broken and from John. Yeah, so that's what I would add.
Yeah, well, we were so encouraged and excited about the response. Also, the fact that you were particularly targeting younger men. You were inviting younger men, which I think is very strategic because it's about the next generation and how do we pass these truths on to the next generation. And like you said, Emmanuel, it seems like there's more of an openness and a willingness among the younger generation to talk about these things. And I hope this is just the beginning of a tidal wave
Yeah.
of revival that happens through this kind of ministry. And Be Broken is standing in support as best we can to help you do these things. As we wrap up our conversation here today, I want each of you to just maybe share a message of hope because no matter where a person is in the world, getting entangled in the stronghold of sexual sin or pornography, it fills us with such shame. It can be so it strangles hope. It makes a person believe like I'm never going to be any different than this. There's no possibility that I could ever not do these things that I'm doing. So I would love for each of you just to share a message of hope for those who are listening that might feel like I don't know if I can ever come out of the dark and actually walk in the light. So, Samreed, will you give your response first?
Sure. Thank you again for asking. Yeah, I would really like to encourage and speak out of a lot of compassion to the listeners over here, and would like to say that I have been there. I know the pain. I know the isolation. I know the secrecy. I know the struggle. I know the emotional trauma. I understand that you feel enslaved to it, but this is what we know is that there is hope in Jesus, there is hope in fellowship. And this is what I've learned, that the solution towards addiction is connection. And it's not only the connection that we are talking in terms of spirituality, talking about like get better connected to God, but how does it start? It starts with one another when we are really talking to people with skins on and being in the light. And that's what First John says. Like you just confess it out, and you're in the light, and the blood of Jesus cleanses you. And that cleaning power in confession and the cleaning power in fellowship. This is what I would like to say. Like when Emmanuel and I and John, we used to meet, like we are still meeting like every Tuesdays. I feel like we are having a church where there's real deliverance happening. It's not just a tradition of like singing some songs and praying or listening a sermon, but that sermon really manifesting in our life and transforming us. This is what this recovery, this walking in truth, being upfront in the light, and being who we are really does. Just give yourself to Jesus as you are, and don't be ashamed of the stories, because Jesus really takes those parts of your past, your current, whatever it is that you're ashamed of, and he throws it away so far, because he wants to embrace you and love you. And that's the kind of love that I personally want to carry for everyone who is struggling. Because when we Iman and I decided that we really want to help people, this was the Bible verse that came to me, that the comfort that we have received, we want to pass it on to others. We just cannot keep it to ourselves. And as one of the greatest person, like I don't remember who it was, but he said that Christianity is telling another beggar where to find the bread. So for me, I figured out that bread, and that I cannot eat that bread alone. I want to eat with fellowship with you, and to understand that there is always hope in fellowship with one another and with God.
That's so good. Emmanuel?
Yeah, so just before I wrap up, one of the very, I would say, significant, like important thing that we came across as we were conducting this Celebrate Freedom seminar, and as we're continuing to help young people, as soon as we communicated to the pastors who were connected with us, who we are working with, they immediately asked, "Is this only for boys or for girls also? Like, can girls come
Yeah.
also?" And that was a question that we were expecting, and we had a good answer. And so we were politely telling them that this is only directed for the boys, and why we are not inviting girls into this, because both of us, we both are men, and that we would like to deal only with men. And if there are women leaders, if there are female leaders, maybe it is better for them to work with the girls. And even even though we were polite, and because they felt like this is something that the young people really need. They were like requesting, no, but girls are also having this difficulty, and where else they will be getting the support, like where else they will be learning about it, and maybe you should allow girls also. And that was from the pastors. And even when the young men, they came for the seminar, even they were saying, it would be good if you can also do it for the girls. So that is an area that we still need to figure out. We need women leaders who can help girls deal with this kind of situation, especially because not only about the watching, but many a time girls are the victim of this whole pornography addiction. They are the victims of this. So we need help in that section. Having said that, I would say that you don't need to live in shame and secrecy if you are struggling with this. And just the idea that you want to come out of it and that you are not happy about it, you have already started your journey. You just need to take one step at a time and uh, progress towards the victory that is in Christ. And I just remember one verse from the Bible, James 5:16. I think he says, confess your sin to one another and you'll be healed. And don't. I have been the person who has tried to come out of this addiction for years. I was waiting for that one day when I'll be like porn free. That day never came. I had to learn it hard way that it is one day at a time where we
Hmm.
find the victory. So you don't have to be worried. You will learn a lot of things, and but don't step back. The worst thing that we can do is step back and continue to live in the shame and secrecy and not live the freedom that Christ died to give us. And so come out, step forward, look out for people that you can share your struggle with and difficulty with. And if you are a listener from India, Samrit and I would be more than happy to help you or come alongside. I wouldn't even say help you, come alongside in this journey of freedom. And it's so much better having come out of that bondage. So much better. Yeah.
That's so good. Well, I sure
Mhm.
appreciate what you are both doing and your willingness to share your stories and lean into this. Um, and on that note, what you were just saying, Emmanuel, is there a way, if any of our listeners from India wanted to get in touch with you, is there an email or a website or somewhere that they can go to do that, to connect with you?
Yeah, so we have our kind of a YouTube channel that is called Unaddressed. They can go in there. There are some of the contact details, but we also have an Instagram channel, unaddressed.crew, and they can text it directly into that as well. We have our individual accounts on Facebook, and yeah, wherever, like even if you're trying to reach out, we'll respond as soon as possible, and we would love to connect.
Yeah.
And I also want to let our listeners and viewers know that, and I'm putting pressure on you guys now, when the next Celebrate Freedom gets on the calendar, we're going to promote that too. We'll make sure that we get that out on our socials and all that because you guys had such a great response to that you were telling me off air that a lot of the men were saying, hey, we want to do this again. We'll bring 5 or 6 of our friends. We want it. So there's already momentum gaining on that. But I want to thank you both for taking your time today and being with us because it really has, it's blessed me and I know it's blessed our listeners. So thank you both.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, Jonathan, for whatever all the things that you've been doing. Because I know, like, if we don't even know like where we would be if people like John Ford from Be Broken wouldn't be with us, like a father figure who would guide us not only just out of sexuality, but also like in our married life and the brotherhood that we share. So thank you so much.
You bet. Well, listeners and viewers, we're glad that you've been with us too. And we want to help you take your next best step towards wholeness in Christ. And so please reach out to us and we'll help you along the way. And we are so glad that you've been with us. And we look forward to seeing you back here again next time on the Pure Sex Radio broadcast. Take care.
Pure Sex Radio is paid for by Be Broken Ministries. Visit us online at puresexradio.com.